Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're attempting to map one of the most selective academic landscapes in the country, Duke University admissions.
It's a huge undertaking.
It is. You sent us a truly impressive stack of source material, covering everything from, first-year class profiles all the way down to the fine print on international visas and grad school funding.
Right.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward. We're going to cut through the marketing, the general advice, and really give you a clear, rapid, and strategically useful look at what it actually takes to get a spot at Duke.
Whether you're in high school, looking to transfer, or even aiming for a Ph.D.
Exactly. We want to find those concrete leverage points in what is, let's be honest, an intensely competitive environment.
And that strategic approach is, well, it's everything. Because Duke isn't just selective. It's operating at a level of extreme scarcity.
Right.
I mean, when we look at the data for the class of 2028, the overall acceptance rate is somewhere between 5.1% and 7%.
That's tiny.
It is. And they use a comprehensive, holistic review, which really just means high grades are the ticket to the game, They're the starting point.
You're not the finish line?
Not at all. They're looking for reasons to admit you. So our job here is to use these sources to really highlight the critical differentiators for each path.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning.
Yeah.
The undergraduate first-year application. That 5.1% rate, it's sobering.
It is. It means if you have 100 perfect on-paper students applying, over 90 of them are still getting a rejection letter.
Wow. So with that kind of competition, the first major strategic decision has to be timing, right?
Absolutely. The data makes the choice between early decision and regular decision a foundational move for anyone who is truly set on Duke.
So tell us what the numbers say about showing that commitment.
Okay, so early decision, or ED, it's binding. If you get in, you've agreed to go. That's the deal.
A big commitment.
A huge commitment, but it comes with a massive statistical benefit. For the class of 2028, the ED acceptance rate was 12.9%.
That's more than double the overall rate.
It's a massive jump. So if Duke is your absolute, unquestioned #1 choice, using that November 3rd ED deadline gives you the best statistical odds. Period.
And if you wait until the January 5th regular decision deadline...
You're just putting yourself into the most competitive pool imaginable.
Okay, so let's say you decide to jump in early. The admissions committee then does that holistic review. We hear that term all the time, but our sources actually break down what they're looking for. What are the key factors beyond just grades?
Well, the three things that really separate the excellent applicants from the ones who actually get in are, 1, the rigor of your academic program,
Okay.
2, the quality of your recommendations, and 3, the quality of thought in your essays.
Let's unpack the academic rigor part. It's not just a checklist of AP classes, is it?
No, not at all. They're assessing if you enrolled in the best available and most challenging courses that your high school offers. They want to see consistent, aggressive, intellectual ambition.
So generally about 5 academic courses a year.
That's the expectation. And for those applying to the Pratt School of Engineering, it's even more specific. Calculus is required. Physics is strongly recommended. You miss those, and the rest of the application is almost irrelevant.
Okay, let's talk about recommendations. They can feel like such a black box. 2 from teachers, 1 from a counselor. When everyone has great grades, how does a letter actually make a difference?
It shifts the focus from what you learn to how you learn. A great letter gives concrete stories, It shows your curiosity, maybe a time you took an intellectual risk, how you contribute to a discussion. It proves your transcript is more than just a list of grades.
And then there's that great phrase you flagged. Duke appreciates students who are well-rounded and well-lopsided.
It's a fantastic concept.
It really is. It seems to perfectly capture what they want in the extracurriculars.
It does. Well-rounded means you explore things. Well-lopsided means you have a spike. You've gone deep in 1 or 2 areas.
So instead of being president of 5 different clubs...
Exactly. You're the student who's spent 30 hours a week on the robotics team, or published a paper, or started a nonprofit that actually had a local impact. It's evidence of real passion and persistence.
Let's tackle the big dilemma. Standardized tests. Duke is test optional for the next cycle. But given this applicant pool is optional, really optional,
I think you have to see it as a high-stakes strategic self-assessment. If you choose to submit your scores, you're basically saying, these scores make my application stronger.
And what's the benchmark you have to measure yourself against?
For admitted students who did submit scores, the SAT middle 50% range was 1520 to 1570.
Whoa.
Yeah. The ACT range was 34 to 35. That means half the students who sent scores were in that tiny top-tier band.
So if I have a 1480, which is a fantastic score nationally,
It's a phenomenal.
submitting it might actually move me down in the Duke applicant pool.
That is the hard reality. In a pool where the median is over 1540, you're competing against that. If you can't hit the bottom of that 50% range, the safer play might be to just withhold the score.
Right. Let your grades and essays do the talking.
Exactly. The policy is really an invitation to be brutally honest with yourself about whether your score is truly helping.
Okay, let's move on to the essays, where you tell your story. The required Why Duke essay is only 250 words.
Which is so short. The brevity is the real challenge.
So you can't just flatter them.
No, you have to show them exactly how Duke aligns with your specific goals. You have to name a course in Trinity College or a research center at Pratt or a specific club that's essential for you. You have to prove the fit.
They also have 4 optional essay prompts. Should applicants feel like they have to do one of those?
Yes, they absolutely should. The essays are the main way to stand out when everyone has the grades. The sources say Duke encourages submitting at least one.
To add that depth.
To add depth and to show that well-lopsided quality we talked about. It's a huge missed opportunity if you skip it.
And what about interviews? They're optional, conducted by alumni.
Correct. But there's a key logistical detail. If you're applying regular decision, you have to submit your application by the priority deadline of December 20th to be considered for an interview.
So waiting until the final January deadline is a risk.
It's a real risk. The alumni interviewer slots can fill up before that final deadline even hits. It's just another small strategic edge you can give yourself.
Okay, so if the first-year application is a marathon, the transfer path sounds like a sprint over hurdles.
That's a good way to put it. The transfer acceptance rate is documented at 4.03%.
That is brutal.
It's one of the lowest in the country. This path really only exists to fill very specific, very limited openings. You need an absolutely perfect college record.
What are the big academic differences for a transfer applicant?
Well, first you have to show you can excel at the college level. The average GPA for admitted transfers is around a 3.90.
Okay.
And second, the recommendation requirement changes. At least one of your 2 recommendations must come from a college instructor. They need proof that you can perform in a university classroom.
And once you get there, there are different academic burdens depending on how many credits you bring in.
Yes, and Duke limits you to a maximum of 2 years of transfer credit. So if you come in as a sophomore, you have a heavier course load ahead of you, including their required writing class.
And for international students looking to transfer, there's a really critical financial note.
A very firm rule. Need-based financial aid is just... It's not available for international transfer students, period. You have to be prepared to fully fund your own education.
Wow. Okay, we also looked at the Visiting International Student Program. These are non-degree students, but it's still a tough path.
It is. They're typically there for just a semester or a year, and the key thing is they cannot extend their stay or transfer into the degree program.
So who is this for then?
Usually students from partner universities who have pre-approved exchange agreements. They need high English proficiency, a 100 on the TOEFL, or a 7.0 on the IELTS. And if they're from a partner school like Westlake University, they need a formal letter of nomination.
Got it. Okay, finally, let's look at the graduate school application, which has this fascinating concept you call the dual narrative.
Right, the dual narrative. It's mandatory for all grad applicants, and it says a lot about what Duke values. You have to submit 2 totally separate essays.
The first one is the statement of purpose, the SOP. That's pretty standard,
It's
right?
the academic one, yeah.
Yeah.
1 to 2 pages on your research goals, why you're applying, which professors you want to work with, standard stuff.
And the second, unique piece.
The second is the mandatory life experiences statement, or LES. This one is only 1 page, and it's all personal.
What do they ask for?
They want you to talk about your unique background, challenges you've overcome, and how those experiences show your resilience and ability to contribute to a diverse community.
So the SOP proves you're a good fit for the research lab.
And the LES proves you're a good fit for the academic community.
They see them as equally important.
Exactly. They're not just admitting brilliant researchers, they're admitting resilient people who will contribute and who have the persistence needed for a Ph.D. program.
Okay, admissions is one thing, but then there's the financial piece. The cost of attendance, the sticker price. It's a huge number.
It is staggering. The total estimated cost for a first-year undergrad is somewhere around $98,000 or $99,000 a year. The tuition alone is over $70,000.
I mean, that's a formidable investment for any family.
It really is.
But for domestic students, so U.S. citizens, permanent residents, DACA recipients, Duke's need-based aid is incredible. It really changes the picture for a lot of people.
It's one of their greatest strengths. Duke is need blind for those students, and they meet 100% of demonstrated need.
What does that look like in practice?
It means about 50% of all undergrads get some kind of aid, and 21% of the first-year class attends completely tuition-free.
That's amazing. What's the process for applying? I know there can be some administrative headaches.
You have to submit the CSS profile and the FSO. But the tricky part, especially for families with, say, divorced parents, is that both parents must complete a separate CSS profile.
Even if they're separated.
Often, yes. The university wants a complete picture of the family's financial capacity. It's a hurdle you have to plan for and start early.
Okay, now this brings us to what might be the single most unforgiving policy we've found: the financial risk for international applicants.
This is a make-or-break rule. It is truly unforgiving.
What is it?
Foreign citizens who want need-based aid must apply for it in their original first-year application. If you don't check that box, then you are permanently ineligible for need-based aid for all 4 years.
Wow, an irreversible decision.
Totally. And on top of that, the students who do apply for aid are put into a more competitive pool.
Why is that?
The university's budget for international aid is capped, so the acceptance rate for that group is usually less than half the overall rate.
And after all that, there's still the proof of funding requirement for the student visa.
Correct. Before Duke Visa Services can issue the I-20 or DS 2019 forms, the student has to show verified proof of funding bank statements, sponsorship letters to cover their entire education.
Okay, beyond need-based aid, what about merit scholarships?
The good news there is that you're automatically considered for most of them, and they are incredibly valuable, often covering tuition, fees, room, and board for all 4 years.
And there's one that really stands out.
The AB Duke Scholars Program. It's amazing. It includes the opportunity to study at Oxford University at no cost during the summer before your sophomore year.
Wow. And finally, let's touch on the grad school funding picture, because it's a completely different world for PhDs.
It's a huge strategic advantage. PhD students get a guaranteed competitive funding package for their first 5 years.
What does that include?
It includes a 12-month stipend, full tuition coverage, all fees paid, and 6 years of health and dental insurance. Master's students, on the other hand, get very limited aid and mostly rely on fellowships or loans.
Okay, so we have dissected this admissions fortress from, the 5.1% undergrad rate to the dual CSS profile. The key takeaway for me is that success here requires so much more than high stats.
It really does.
It demands the strategic use of early decision, insane test scores if you submit them, and essays that show not just what you did, but who you are.
And what's so consistent across every single path we looked at, from that 4% transfer rate to the PhD process, is the value Duke places on persistence and contribution.
They're not just looking for achievement.
No, they are explicitly looking for people who will make the community better and who have overcome real challenges to get where they are.
That focus on the human side, on resilience, it feels like the real secret ingredient, especially when you think about that mandatory life experiences statement for grad students.
I agree. The fact that the LES, which is all about challenges, background, resilience, is a non-negotiable requirement for PhD applicants, it suggests a bigger shift, Does this emphasis on documented growth mean that the story of how you achieved your excellence is now just as critical as the excellence itself? For anyone applying, no matter the level, I think considering how your own unique story of persistence shapes your entire application, that might be the most powerful strategic advantage you have.